Have you ever wondered, and I mean really wondered, how you burn calories throughout the day? Is it just through the cardio that you're doing or the workouts that you're doing in the gym? Or do we truly burn calories in our sleep or when we're digesting food? I'm going to be answering these questions in this 3-point video. I'm going to be revealing all around burnt calories, breaking this video down into 3 points. The first point is scientifically breaking down how we actually burn calories as human beings. The second point is how the process of burning calories impacts weight loss and muscle building. The third point is how to accurately track the amount of calories that you burn in a day and if we should really be trusting these fitness watches. Still works. First, let's go to the whiteboard. There are 4 ways in which we burn calories, and we're going to illustrate this on the whiteboard with a simple bar graph that's broken down like this. The first way in which we burn calories is the biggest way, and that is our basal metabolic rate, or our BMR. And this is made up of our height, our weight, world's loudest whiteboard, our age, and our sex. And with our BMR, there's not much we can really do to change this. Can we change our height? Not really, unless we want to get surgery now that extends your femurs. Yes, that's a legit thing. Age? Not really, we just get older as time goes on. Sex? And although this is up for debate, we're talking about our biological sex. Can we change our biological sex? No, we can't. Although that's probably up for debate in the comment section. Can we change our weight? Yes, this is probably the biggest thing that we can have an impact on in regards to how many calories we burn. The heavier we become, the more calories we burn. The smaller we become, the less calories that we burn. It's pretty simple. A big truck is going to burn more fuel than a Prius. Catch my drift? Moving on to the second way in which we burn calories, our non-planned exercise thermogenesis, or our NEAT levels. Our NEAT is made up of any exercise that we do that isn't planned. And that's mainly when we're going for walks. It's when we talk and we move our hands back and forward. It's when we scratch our head. It's where we adjust our t-shirt. This is all exercise, but it's not planned. It's just things that are going on in the background. And this is worth 20% of how many calories we burn. And out of the 4 ways in which we burn calories, our NEAT level is the one that we can have the most impact on. The third way in which we burn calories, our EAT level, exercise activity thermogenesis. So it's like NEAT, just without the N. And if we were to drop the N out of NEAT levels, then we would drop the non-planned portion of it. So this is our planned exercise activity thermogenesis. And this is ultimately our workout. Whatever form of exercise that you do that is planned is responsible for around 5 to 10% of the calories that we burn. Now, this is dependent on what sort of exercise that you do. If you're a professional athlete, let's say you're going to the CrossFit Games soon, if you're training twice a day, this might be more than 5 to 10%, but for the average person, this is 5 to 10%. The fourth and last way that we burn calories is through something called the thermic effect of food, or TEF. And this is ultimately the amount of calories that we burn when we are digesting our food. This is also responsible for around 5 to 10%, and this can be increased or decreased depending on how many calories you consume and what type of calories you consume. Pro tip, if you have a high protein diet, your thermic effect of food is going to be higher than someone who has a moderate or low protein diet, because protein takes more calories to digest. So if you wanted to bump up your metabolism, this is a very, very pro tip. Have a high protein diet. All right, bro, how does that actually help me to lose fat and build muscle? Well, I'm glad you asked. Back to the whiteboard. If your goal is fat loss, the principle of the calorie deficit must be put into place. And that means that you need to burn more calories than you consume. That is the only way that you're able to drop body fat. Unless you're an alien from Mars or Pluto and you have special powers, as long as you're on Earth, you have to follow the law of thermodynamics. And now that you know how the human body burns calories, let me show you how you can use this to your advantage to help lose more fat and create that calorie deficit. So let's say this is the amount of calories that you burn, and this is the amount of calories that you consume. See how they equal out? That's going to be calorie maintenance, so you're not going to lose fat. So if you wanted to change this and drop body fat, then what you'd want to do is bump up certain aspects of your physical activity to help you to burn more calories. We mentioned before that with our basal metabolic rate, we can't really change anything to help us burn more calories, but what we can do is change our NEAT levels, our EAT levels, and our thermic effect of food. Let me explain how. Our NEAT levels are our non-planned exercise, and that is usually looked at your steps. Our NEAT levels are our non-planned exercise, and that usually includes our steps. So a very basic way of burning more calories throughout the day to try and bump this up a little bit to create that calorie deficit is by increasing your NEAT levels, and that could be going from 6,000 steps per day up to 8,000, or 8,000 up to 10,000. And if you just do 2,000 steps extra per day, that's 14,000 steps over the week, and that can be a significant difference to help get the scales moving in your favor. We can also look at bumping up your EAT levels, and that is the planned exercise that you do. So if you're currently working out 3 times a week, you could work out 4 times a week, and that's going to be an extra 200 to 400 calories that you burn in a week. And although it doesn't sound like much when you look at it over the week, it all adds up. So if you increase your steps and increase the amount of workouts that you do per week, you're already starting to create a higher level of calorie expenditure, and then that's going to get even higher to create a larger calorie deficit to burn body fat. And to bump up our thermic effect of food without increasing our calories, because if we increase our calories, then this would just go up. What we can do is something that I mentioned before. We can change the types of calories that we're consuming. So if you're currently consuming 120 grams of protein per day, you could bump that up to 150 grams per day. That's an extra 30 grams of protein per day, and that's just a protein shake. And instead of adding that on top of your calories, what you can do is just add that within your calories and make sacrifices from, let's say, the amount of carbohydrates that you're eating. So you're still eating the same amount of calories, but the composition of those calories have more protein and less carbohydrates. That, once again, is going to bump up your calorie expenditure, which means you now have this beautiful thing called a calorie deficit, and now you can burn fat. I'd also be an idiot to leave out the fact that what you could do is just literally consume less calories. So instead of consuming 2,500, you could consume 2,300, and voila, you have a calorie deficit without even adding this extra calorie expenditure boosting in place. But if you did both, decreased your calories and did all the stuff that I said earlier, you would create an even larger calorie deficit and lose more fat. All right, bro, that's really cool, but what if I wanted to build muscle? How can you help me out there? If you want to build muscle, you can do it at maintenance, but it's going to be faster or further optimized if you create a calorie surplus. And that is when you consume more calories than you expend. So this is the amount of calories that we consume, and this is what we're burning, like we said before. We're currently consuming more than we're expending. So therefore, we are creating a calorie surplus. So this is going to help us to recover faster. It's also going to give us enough calories to push really hard in the gym. We're going to have full glycogen stores. We're going to hit PBs, hit personal records in the gym and be super strong. This is exactly what we want. But there's a group of people called hard gainers that actually struggle to create this calorie surplus, and they can't seem to gain weight. So now that we know how we burn calories, what we can do for these hard gainers, if they just can't seem to eat enough, is bring down the amount of calories that we burn. So we're going to do the exact opposite of what I just told you to do for fat loss. So if you want to burn less calories, what you can do is reduce your NEAT level. So if you're currently doing 15,000 steps a day, but you're trying to gain weight and you just can't seem to gain weight, bring your steps down from 15,000 to 12,000. That's going to reduce your steps by 3,000 per day, 21,000 per week. That is a lot of calories saved. Workouts. We can then change our EAT levels. We might be training too much. So you could bring your workouts down from 7 days a week down to 5. So now you have 3 upper days, 2 lower days, and 2 rest days. We've brought your EAT levels down. Now we're burning less calories throughout the day. With our thermic effect of food, this is something that I wouldn't advocate. I wouldn't recommend eating less protein in the muscle building phase. We still need the same amount of protein, a high protein diet, to help have enough amino acids in our bloodstream to help the process of muscle protein synthesis to happen. And if we reduce our protein, and come out of a high protein diet to a moderate or low, that may negatively impact our ability to build muscle and recover for our workouts. These are tips for hard gainers that seem to feel like that is continually eating and not gaining weight. But if you're trying this and it's still not working, what you have to do is actually consume more calories. And there are ways to do that. Here's a simple list. Eat more foods you like because you'll tend to eat more of that than foods that you don't like. Very simple. Eat hyper-palatable foods. Foods that are very tasty and help you want to eat more. Everyone has their own vice, but you may actually need to tap into that to help consume more calories. Number 3 is add dietary fat. That's very calorically expensive. So if you add in coconut oil, olive oil, avocado, nuts, these are very calorie dense and can help your calories that you consume go higher. And my last point would be to consume more liquid calories, because the more calories that we consume when we're drinking, the more calories we can actually consume, because it's easier to drink your calories than it is to eat them. When we eat them, we have to chew it. And the more that we chew our food, the less that we consume. That's what the research says. So how can you accurately track the amount of calories that you burn? That's virtually impossible. And the methods that you would need to go through to do that would require you to get cut open. However, this is why we have fitness watches, right? Because they tell you how many calories you burn in a day and in a workout. And if I look at my stats for the day, it says that I burnt 1,895 calories for the day. But the thing about trusting this watch is it's most probably going to be inaccurate. The research on smartwatches and the accuracy in which they have for the amount of calories that we burn in workouts and throughout the day is varied wildly. Some are relatively accurate, but some aren't. Across the ranges of Fitbits, Garmin's, Apple Watches, Samsung watches, they're pretty inaccurate. So here's what I like to do instead of relying on fitness trackers. What I like to do is use a calorie calculator. If you want to use one, you can use mine. The link's in the description. And once you use this calorie calculator, it's going to give you your maintenance. Depending on the calculator, it could also give you your calorie surplus to bulk, or it could use a calorie deficit to show you what to consume if you were to cut. But the good thing with having this calorie calculator is it gives you a ballpark figure. It gives you a good guess. It may even give you some macros. And with this guess, you have a place to start. And the thing you need to understand about calorie calculators is it's just a ballpark figure. So as you stick to these calories, you can see if you gain weight or if you lose weight. And over the week, if you're eating a certain amount of calories and your weight drops, clearly that's a calorie deficit. And if you wanted to go for fat loss, then that would be great. If it wasn't enough fat loss, what you could do is reduce the amount of calories that you have to quicken up that process and make sure that you're losing fat to the timeline that you want. If you're eating a certain amount of calories though and you're losing weight but you want to gain weight, now with this ballpark figure, you can change it using the knowledge that you have. Oh, I need to consume more calories. You could bump up the calories to help you meet that calorie maintenance that you need to set out maintenance, or create that calorie surplus that you need to get your bulk in order. I think this is a way more effective way than trying to track the amount of calories that you burn in a workout and try and add it in and subtract. It just becomes this big equation that you have to solve, when really you can put it in the hands of the calorie calculator and then use your knowledge to help make changes along the way. And another downside of tracking the amount of calories that you've burnt in a workout is you can get caught in the calorie burning trap. Let me explain what that is. The calorie burning trap is when you look at the amount of calories that you burnt and then you try and beat it the next workout. And then you try and beat that the next workout. And then you try and beat that the next workout. So you go from burning 300 calories to burning 350 calories, to burning 375 calories, to burning 400 calories. And then the next workout, if you don't burn more than 400 calories, that's a failed workout because you're so obsessed with the amount of calories that you've burned. But let me share with you some wise words that I shared on my Instagram page, @BrockAshby, if you're not already following me. If I watched Netflix all day and never got out of bed, I would burn 2,000 calories. If I hit 10,000 steps per day, I would burn an additional 600 calories. If I lifted weights, I would burn 300 calories. The amount of calories that we burn in the gym is small compared to how much we burn from just being alive and walking. Work out to build muscle, not to burn calories. I'll also back that up with something that I'm going to post at the end of the week, which is how not to measure progress in the gym, how sore your muscles are, how sweaty you were, how much you didn't rest, how many calories you burnt, being able to walk down the gym stairs without falling over or not. How to measure progress in the gym. Lifting heavier weight, doing more reps of the same weight, training with better technique, sticking to the tempo, going when you say you will go. There are better measures to worry about in the gym than how many calories you burn. Because the amount of calories that you burn doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't make your technique any better, and it doesn't determine how much muscle you've built and progress you've made in the gym. It's just a number. But as you've seen today over there on the whiteboard, the biggest amount of calories that we burn is our basal metabolic rate, which is our height, our weight, our age, and our sex. Now that is literally how many calories we burn if we were in a coma in the hospital. We burn way more calories doing that per day than in the gym. So what's the point in kerfuffling around in the gym trying to burn an extra 50 calories, 100 calories when we literally burn more calories in our sleep? It's just not worth it. Hope that helps.